Welcome back to Invincipod, probably the greatest podcast about the Amazon original series Invincible. My name is James.
I'm Ralph.
And today we're rounding out week 1 of the show with episode 3, which is called Who You Calling Ugly?
Right. Was that a line in the episode?
I was trying to place it, and the only time that I can think of is Monster Girl. But then I don't think she says that.
I don't think
but
so
I feel
either.
like it's in reference to her.
Right.
I think maybe like she's calling. I think the line in the show, if anything, is like "Who you calling tiny" or something.
Right. Oh. So okay, the opening title or the title card, Invincible, created by Robert Kirkman. Placement again, awesome. More
this one
blood.
It made me laugh so much.
I realized that the first episode there was no blood, the second episode there was some blood, and the third episode there's even more blood.
Yeah, I think we're going to get bloodier as the show goes on.
Do you think like by episode 8 it's just going to be drenched like a bucket?
I mean, I hope so.
I feel like it.
I mean, it depends on how the episodes go. Maybe it'll be contextual, but
yeah,
I don't know. Like maybe it'll just increase and increase. But yeah, no, I loved it this time around because like we're at that somber. We're at the sort of the second funeral, aren't we? We have the memorial service,
right? Which is
then we have that's the public one. That's for everyone, and then we've got the private. This is for the families and the close friends.
The real sad one.
Yeah, and they play it that way, and then cut to the title screen. And it's like, oh shit! It's like your instant reaction is to laugh, but then you're like, oh man, like maybe we're not invincible.
I'll laugh.
I laugh.
I laughed when War Woman barfed on her own back. You kind of. I mean, I've been watching reaction videos, especially the final scene of episode 1. And just been enjoying, like, if someone has no idea what, hasn't read the book, those are the most fun reactions. Because that first episode really doesn't have a lot of blood in it until the very end, where it completely changes tone. And, man, it's been a lot of fun. Like, I'm glad I'm finally caught up on the first 3, and now we'll kind of be on pace with the rest of the world.
That's it, and as of recording this, it's Wednesday when we're recording this. It's Friday when you're hearing it, and as you're hearing this, you're ready to jump straight into the next episode, which is awesome.
Right, Invincible Friday.
Invincible Fridays, yes.
Yeah.
What do you think? Like they changed up the memorial service, because you alluded to it last week that you were looking forward to something happening.
Yes.
As it does, and I was too. I was a little bit disappointed that it didn't. But it played nicely. And then when it didn't happen in the first one, I was like, oh, okay. And then it cut to the second one. I was like, oh, maybe it'll happen here.
Right.
But it doesn't then either.
So in the book, we get an attack from the Mahler twins.
Yes.
At the funeral service.
Well, not even an attack, really, is it? First.
They show up.
They show up and they're all respectful. And everyone's like, what are you doing here? Right. And then they're like, hey, look, we're just here to pay our respects as well.
Right.
Like, we're not here to cause any trouble. And then there's an attack, and it's the Immortal.
Right.
Which is out of nowhere.
Right.
And we get none of that.
No. But I feel like, I mean, I don't know what we're spoiling or what we're not spoiling. At the end, at the beginning of episode, well, here's the deal. At the beginning of episode 2, the government's coming in and they're cleaning up the mess caused by Nolan. Mm-hmm. They're picking up the Guardians. They take the Immortal's head and stick it on a box that seals it closed. It seals closed
and
at the neck.
They put the plate on his torso.
Right. So, his name is the Immortal. I don't think we're giving away too much, but I feel like we definitely haven't seen the end of the Immortal, and he's kind of tied to the Mahler twins in that funeral scene. Yeah.
But I think that seems to be going a little bit differently in the show.
Right, because at the end of this episode, we see the escape of the Mahler twins. So
yeah, I was going to say, should we jump straight to that?
Well,
while we're on Mahler twins,
they're sort of out a little bit later. So I feel like they're still going to be going after Immortal.
They're still going to be doing the same thing. I was expecting I thought there was going to be some twist on that, and that it was going to be the Immortal who was helping them escape. Like when we see sort of the shadowed finger like pressing buttons and stuff.
Yeah, that's another storyline that's kind of been fast tracked towards the front of the story.
Way up. Like that's much later books.
Yeah. Robot.
Yeah, we get to see that Robot is doing stuff a little bit shady. So like, even other than Omni-Man, like everyone that we think is good may not be 100% good.
Right. It surprised me.
Yeah,
it really surprised me.
I hadn't got to certain areas in the books in my reread yet. I'm up to like, issue 25 or something. So there's stuff that I'm like, oh yeah, that does happen, doesn't it?
One of my all-time favorite things in Invincible, I absolutely love in the comic. If you say, hey, what's your top 5 moments? This is probably number 2. Is the Immortal flashback. And
the one from the beginning, or
the where we see the history of the Immortal. There's one panel that kind of gives his backstory and his identity.
Yeah.
And it made me laugh so hard, and it made me so happy that I hope it has to be played out in the show. In the show. I don't I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I think so. I think it will. I don't know. Depends. I mean, I think
because the Immortal. Okay, let's just say this: for people who read the books, the Immortal, we know as a different name.
Yes.
From history. So
yeah, he's an existing character.
Right. Right. Let's just say, like when I saw that panel, like the amount of joy it brought me, because just knowing that person and what that person accomplished, and to see this character Immortal persevere, throughout the years and still out there doing good, it makes me incredibly happy. And it's like it was just, I think it's just one panel, and I'm just like, fuck, this is awesome.
And then when you see it, you can't unsee it as well, because you're like, oh shit, I love the Immortal. He might be like, that's like top tier favorite characters in Invincible. He's very cool. He's a character, and I think we put out some artwork on our Instagram and stuff that has him on there sort of quite prominently. So sort of saying that he's probably going to be around isn't the end of the world.
His name is Immortal.
Yeah.
And
for good reason.
And they saved his head for a reason. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So did I say this was probably my favorite episode?
No, you didn't.
This is my favorite episode.
Awesome.
There's so much Invincible-y stuff in it.
Yes. Yeah.
We one of the things that we get in the book that really hasn't been alluded to too much in the show. Like they've talked about that the world has a ton of superheroes and supervillains and stuff. This episode we get to see just like a shitload of heroes trying out for the new Guardians.
Well, I mean, we get to see them. We get to see a bunch at the funeral. Right. We don't get any of the cameos that we were thinking maybe we would get, because in that scene in the books, you get a lot of other Image characters pop up.
Right.
So there's no Savage Dragon. There's no I don't think Spawn's there, but characters like that.
I think Hellboy might have been in. Maybe no.
No, he was Dark Horse.
Yeah.
Yeah. I freeze framed it. I was trying to see if there was anyone that was at least referential, and there was no one that I could make out.
Right.
But yeah, and then at the training sequence when Cecil and Donald have gone to Robot, they're like, we're tapping you to lead up the new Guardians of the Galaxy. We want you to put the team together. You'll answer only to Cecil. So we see a bunch of new heroes.
Right. Including Shrinking Ray,
who they have gender swapped.
They've gender swapped. Similar outfit, still wearing the glasses. Love it.
Essentially the same outfit.
Right.
And I mean, if you're gonna do it, there's a character you can change the name on without changing the name. You just change the spelling on it, and it works nicely. It's great. Yeah, so of the new characters, so we get basically all of the teen team try out and robots in charge. So the teen team get in. They're all now Guardians.
Eve declines it.
Yeah, Eve says she doesn't want it. But she is offered a spot on the team. She's still going to be out heroing. But yeah, the new people that we got Monster Girl. Monster Girl being the main one. Shrinking Ray, who we've mentioned, and
Black Samson.
That's it. Black Samson. Yes. With a little bit of like history about Black Samson revealed as well by like that he was with the Guardians originally, lost his powers, and now basically is a dude in a suit. He's sort of your Iron Man type.
Right. And Rexplode calls him out on it.
Yeah.
We get a
Rex is a dick to everything in this episode.
I'm getting used to the whole Jason Mantzoukas of it all, and I love it.
Yep,
I love it. They're making him so unlikable.
It makes you want to hate the guy.
I mean, once you find out that he's been sleeping with Duplicate, you are going to hate him no matter what, so might as well just make him all the way hateable.
And the fact that even in that scene where he gets caught, he just is a gaslighty douchebag to both of them. Like, he's like, this didn't mean anything. Like, she's not even the real Kate.
She's standing right there.
Kate's right there, and all of the Kates are like, we're all the real Kate.
Right.
Which had already been established when she's like, oh yeah, no, Kate number 1 can't be here, but I can fill her in. It's fine. Like, we're all the same person.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not like the Mahler twins.
Yeah.
Where the clones sort of degenerate. We get a scene with Monster Girl and Robot, which is nice. Yeah. For those of you who read the book, there's a history that's coming between those two characters.
Yeah, those two have a lot, and the fact that I love that she basically sort of lays out that her powers are on a ticking clock. She can only do this so many times at the moment. Like, every time she does it, she gets a little bit younger. So I think we'll see probably her get maybe a little bit younger than she is now.
In the book, doesn't Robot try to help her in fixing that?
I think he is able to pause it. He's never able to reverse it, from what I remember. Like, to bring her back up to her mid-20s where she started. But I'm pretty sure that he's able to find sort of a semi-cure for it and put a pause in it so she can change back and forth without worrying about like de-aging.
So that's a relationship to look forward to.
Yeah.
I mean, seeing how the story goes. So I was really happy to see a scene between them, just them two. It really sets up a relationship that is interesting.
With everyone else who's like either causing problems or is just having problems in the team, like Shrinking Ray just walks off. She's like, I'll be in the gym. You call me when you need me. She's definitely got the least to do so far in that team. But then Monster Girl's the one who's just like, look, I'm down for using my powers when I need to, and I did it while we were trying out, but I'm not going to be doing this willy-nilly. Like, she's got that Hulk thing where it's like, you know what, I think in the MCU they're like, yeah, no, we've got a code green sort of thing. Like, now we need the Hulk.
Right.
So using Monster Girl in the same way is cool. I think that really works.
Right. And then the dynamic between Rex and Black Samson.
Yeah, the button heads there.
Oh, I thought that scene was great, where it seems like Rex is trying to vie for a leadership spot or something, but he's definitely putting down Black Samson to make himself seem cooler or better.
Yeah, he's just, I mean, he's like a high school douchebag who just doesn't have a high school to go and be a douchebag. And
he just had his ass handed to him by Monster Girl.
Yeah. It is weird, but I mean, them calling out Robot's leadership is, again, that's sort of something that's been brought forward. It's happening straight away. And, you know, you can sort of understand it from Black Samson's point of view. Like, he's been there before. He's been with the A-team before, and now this team of kids, essentially. Kids and people who have just been solo up until this point.
Right, and he's lost his powers.
Yeah.
So he's just
a bit embittered.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. And he's kind of making waves, and immediately the team seems to like have fallen apart. Like
yeah, it's like, I mean, like, before it's even got off the ground, they're struggling.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously the Guardians of the Globe, the previous team, has big shoes to fill. If they were pretty much almost able to take out Omni-Man, there's no way this team can. I don't think.
No. There's no chance. They'd just get the floor wiped with them straight away.
Right.
Speaking of Omni-Man, he, after the funeral scene, like, he's back at the house and he's like, right, cool. So, pizza, I can be back and forth from Naples in like less than 5 minutes. And
right.
Debbie's the one who's like, no. Like, let the delivery guy do it. Like, now is the time to actually be with your family and to understand that we're all going through some shit right now.
Yeah, it's funny because he always comes home with stories of,
yeah,
you know, and in this one he had like a giant piece of space squid on his back, and
he had the
like,
kaiju that he was fighting.
There's always something going on with him, and she's just hearing it firsthand. This funeral where she sees Red Rush's wife or girlfriend,
yes. Olga, yeah.
Breaking down, finally realizes that there's stakes.
She went and consoled her.
Yeah.
So it's almost as if like the spouses have their own little club, or at least they're in contact with each other. It's just like, you know, have you seen this person or this person? It's like, right. Oh, no, okay, right, cool. Or yeah, they're together, they're fighting this guy over in wherever.
So seeing them, seeing her breaking down because she lost her superhero better half, other half. I won't say better half. You know what I mean. Boyfriend / husband, not sure.
Partner.
It kind of hit close to home. You know, when he's gone for extended periods of time, she really feels like maybe this should be taken more seriously. And
Mark is feeling it as well, because like he's seeing the vulnerability of these all-powerful beings, sort of thing. Like these people who he's locked up to. This is probably at least en masse, like seeing a few of them go down.
Right.
And he's like, well, shit, like something can take us out. And I'm only just getting to know my powers.
And the problem is nobody knows who it is. Like, we as the audience know who it is. But in Mark's world, if something could take out not only all the Guardians, but take Omni-Man out of commission, you know, so to speak, because that's how they found him. They found him, you know, quote, passed out.
Yeah.
So this is something huge. And when Mark looks up to a whole team of people, and they get almost completely wiped out,
including his dad, so I think.
Yeah, he's like, there's no way. Like, he's got this thing looming over his head, and he already feels like he got his powers too late. So he's probably not feeling like he'll be able to get enough strength in time for the next attack of this thing. And in the meantime, it's living under his household, which is bad news.
Yes.
That's the thing.
And we get that scene where, you know, I get Nolan's point of view, where he's just like, this is the job. We have to leave work at work and enjoy our lives and be at home and be a family and everything. It's like, I get his point of view, where he's coming from there, but there's also that understanding of like a be a bit more sympathetic.
The thing is that Viltrum is more of a war society, and humans are very emotional, emotionally driven creatures, and so
Viltrumites are cold in general.
Yeah, so it's probably like a culture thing.
Yes, culture shock. It's a change. And also, he knows that it was him that did it, and that he's fine. So now nothing can touch them because he's there and he's fine. But it's like he's still trying to keep up the facade as well at the same time.
Right.
We pull away from the house though, and it's under surveillance. Like, we see Donald is there watching, and like he's watching Mark specifically in that shot. But it's definitely the whole house is under surveillance. So I don't know what's up with that.
Yeah, like, that's not something in the book, right?
No, I don't know if they suspect Nolan or anything.
I mean, knowing Cecil,
or if they're doing it for their protection.
Knowing Cecil, he's always sort of has a plan. He's kind of needs backup. Maybe he's just sort of. I mean, if you have all the Guardians being attacked, and this is your next group of heroes. You're going to want to keep an eye on them in case something goes down again.
That's it. It's sort of partly for their protection, and also partly this was the sole survivor of this. Like, the guy, whoever it was, might come back to try and finish the job.
And then Mark's his new go-to guy, at least while while Nolan was in the hospital.
Well, and then afterwards, when Nolan is off fighting that kaiju, it's Mark that he phones. Like, he's like, look, the team is a mess. Your dad's off doing this. I need someone that I know and I can rely on.
Yeah.
So I'm coming to you, kid. Like,
and it's kind of, he mentions it's kind of an easy job. And then he calls him and Eve to go take out Doc Seismic, which is almost, I feel like, straight out of the comics.
Yep.
That scene.
Yeah, the scene. I can't remember. Was that scene at Mount Rushmore? Or if it wasn't, it was somewhere very similar sort of thing. It was
like yellow. It was like a national park, like a yellow.
Yeah, it was definitely a national park. It probably was Mount Rushmore. You've got the iconic backgrounds that you can use at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, and like the attack on the campers and Mark sort of doing his burrow in through as there's sort of a gorge being formed, and then he managed to catch all three of the family and everything. It's great.
Straight out of the book, it feels like he's adapting to his superpowers pretty well. Like that burrowing kind of came out of nowhere, but we can assume that between episodes there was some more training. It sounds like his dad is still training him.
Something that he's just like, I feel like I've got this. Like he felt he was starting to feel more confident.
Yeah.
And I think also having Eve there helped that. Like, so when he first attacks Doc Seismic, he gets thrown back where he, like, Seismic uses his gauntlet things, his bracelets, and sends Mark flying backwards, and it's Eve that catches him with her power.
Right.
He's like, right, cool, okay, we've got each other's back, we can do this together. And they make a good team. They do.
It's funny. So they make a good superhero team.
So Mark's first team up, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where Eve fits into like Mark's life relationship wise, because I feel like maybe it's hard to say. I mean, Mark, it's a bit of a love triangle.
Yeah,
I feel like,
and it's kind of like, I mean, and it's playing out slightly differently, not in much of a change, just more of an update, I think, to how it is in the book, where in the book, like, Mark is definitely crushing on Eve, and I think even in the show he was crushing on Eve. Eve was with Rex, so Mark was like, okay, right, well, I have option B over here is Amber. Right. Amber's definitely still taking the initiative in the show, like, she's got more agency to her, so she sort of, it doesn't coax Mark into it at all, like, but is receptive to Mark's study date. William helps him clean up his room in a nice fun scene there. And then, so it's actually, he leaves Amber in his room when he goes off on this mission with Eve.
Right. And then during the mission he finds out, right? During the mission he finds out that Rex cheated on Eve?
Yes.
So that throws a huge wrench into things.
Yeah. But, he goes back to Amber, who's been there reading some comics and stuff, and she's a little bit pissed. Yeah, for an hour. Quick note on that. Have you ever read Underwater Welder?
No.
It's a Jeff Lemire comic book. It was, I think it was Vertigo put it out. It's full on called out, and like even the cover, like it's not fully detailed, but that is the cover for Underwater Welder. So I was looking it up and I was like, do Amazon have the rights to that? Are they like making a movie or something? And Ryan Gosling has his production company has the rights to that comic, so that might be going to Amazon. We might say an Underwater Welder adaptation.
That's funny.
Definitely not a superhero.
I had no idea that was a thing. I'll have to check into it. It's a good book. The another Seance Dog drop.
Yeah, she's there reading Seance Dog. She seems into it.
Yeah. Yeah, she waited an hour. She waited at his house. I mean, do we know where Mark lives?
No, it's anywhere USA.
Anywhere. So, like, I was thinking about it.
He didn't know where Mount Rushmore was.
Right, and I don't even know. North Dakota, I think.
It's one of the Dakotas.
Or South Dakota. Yeah, I don't know why there's two of them. I mean, come on. But I'm thinking. So I'm thinking, if I'm a teenage kid, and I need to fly to Mount Rushmore. Like, I don't know if I'd be able to do it. I mean, the country's so big, I would have to literally have my phone with Google Maps, punch in Mount Rushmore, and fly, and look at the map.
Yeah, for sure.
It seems like an impossible task.
And I think the equivalent for me over here would be like Stonehenge. But I live like 45 minutes away from where Stonehenge is. My old job, I used to drive past it like every other day. So, like, I know where that is. But like, I think you ask a lot of people, even from around my country, like, and we're a tiny little island.
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to know where Stonehenge is on a map. Like, you're not going to be able to point to where it is.
But to do it just in the air would be impossible. So, like, I'm wondering, like, so if you fly up high enough, you can see the United States and kind of gauge, okay, I know that North Dakota or South Dakota, whichever one, because I didn't pay attention to the show.
Just start using landmarks.
And just be like, okay, there. For me, it just seemed like an impossible task, and for them to go to do that, take out Doc Seismic, and be back in an hour.
It's pretty good going.
Yeah, so
it's pretty impressive. And then they're making out. Eve goes back to the teen team base, where we get a nice scene where Rex is actually being a bit sweet. He's trying. I mean, do you know why? No, I think that's about as sweet as Rex can be. Where he's like, "Hey, look, I can make this all pretty for you," but then there's no apology, and she calls him out on it. She's like, "You're not apologizing."
Yeah, he never apologized. I can't imagine anybody.
He's sorry that he got caught. He's not sorry that he did it.
Right. I can't imagine anybody watching this show feeling bad for Rex and wanting her to go back with him.
No one wants it, but I think we're all fearing that she's going to.
I have a question about Rex.
Go for it.
In the show, his superpowers, he is kind of like Gambit, where he ignites or supercharges coins in like a coin thing. Is that the same in the book? Do you remember the change dispenser in the book?
I don't know. I don't think it's coins, but he's got like rods. He's like throwing out like rods. They almost look like isotope rods.
Well, he has the one rod that he fights with and charges that up. But for the most part, it looks like one of those change things.
It does, yeah.
He kind of flicks him out. And I want to say in episode 2, he says, "I'm almost out of coins."
Okay. Let me see if I can pull up an image of him.
But I know he looks the same. I just don't remember him using coins. So he's kind of like Gambit, but instead of throwing cards, it's coins.
Yeah.
And it does that little click, click, click when he pulls them out of his tubes, his belt tubes.
He's got his stick. He's got just pouches, and he's got more of his little stick things. Okay. Yeah.
But it sounds like he could do both.
But yeah, and then he's just got pouches on his belt, like in a very Rob Liefeld-y kind of way. But I like the coin tubes. They give that same impression as the rods from the comic book. Right. But then like having it be coins that he's throwing as like little bombs is cool. It works.
Yeah, it sounds like he's able to, once he's emptied that tube of coins, then he can use the rods as he does in the comic. Yeah,
he can still he can use whatever. He just chooses to use coins probably because
they're cheap.
It's a fun little thing, and they're cheap. Yeah, you can fill one of those for a couple.
And
of bucks.
It seems like he's able to charge metal.
Yeah,
like he can't charge anything. It has to be metal.
His power, if I remember rightly. Yeah.
He's a cool character, but man, does he just suck. He just sucks. And Jason Mantzoukas, I'm loving him more. I noticed this episode more than the last episode. I'm getting used to not paying attention to the voice acting so much as just listening to the characters. Do we have anybody new this episode? Grey Griffin is playing Monster Girl. Griffin is
Monster Girl and Shrinking
Ray. She played Aya in the Green Lantern the animated series.
Okay.
She was the voice of the AI program / robot.
She didn't really have a lot to do as Ray, but as Monster Girl. But then is she? Yeah, she's the voice of Monster Girl in that form, and then it's someone else playing Monster Girl, I believe, in monster form.
Yeah. And Chris Diamantopoulos, who plays Donald, played Doc Seismic.
Oh yeah.
He's the dude that does the voice of Mickey Mouse in those new Mickey Mouse cartoons.
Yeah, you said.
Yeah. He's cool. And then everyone else is pretty much the same. Oh, Carrie Payton is Black Samson.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was just looking at someone. I saw someone that reminded me of something, but it's gone. We do get another bit of Damien Darkblood this episode. He shows up at the funeral, and Nolan sort of says, like, "Get the hell out of here. You're not welcome."
He's really beginning to suspect something's up with
Nolan. Yeah, he's not sure because he appears at the house before or while Nolan's out of the room or something, and is talks to Debbie directly.
Yeah, that's
I mean, that's the end of the episode. That's the cliffhanger of the episode.
That's
but like,
that's one of those things where you're like, okay, Damien Darkblood's the next to go. Like, Omni-Man's not gonna let.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
One thing, when we got to, I've just seen my note for it. When we got to the Pentagon for the training sequence, we got our first shot of the Pentagon parking in. Like the classic establishing shot from the comic book.
Yeah.
Every time you cut to the Pentagon in the comic books, you see that shot of the parking in rear sign.
Yeah.
We didn't see it in episode 2. I almost called it out then, but I was like, no, I know we see it in 3, so I'm not going to mention anything.
Right. It's it's one of those things where they've reused that drawing for like the entire run. I think it's a Corey Walker thing that just continued on the rest of the series.
It might not be, actually. That might be after Otley took over that we first get to the Pentagon.
With Stedman? Could be.
Yeah. Because, I mean, Cecil's introduced a little bit later in the comics.
Right. But
so, yeah, I think it would be.
Same exact shot. Like, I'm surprised it might even be just painted over the original drawing. Like, it looks great. Yeah, hopefully we'll see a lot more of that. I feel like readers of Invincible will expect that from here on out, to see that shot to establish it.
We jumped away from it, but when after Eve sort of turns Rex's apology or non-apology down, she goes to Mark. She goes to see Mark.
Yeah.
And Mark's there on the bed making out with Amber, and at first she seems a little bit hurt, but then she sort of has that moment where she's like, all right, good for you, Mark. And it's like, that's cool. That's a good friend right there.
Right, because I think any other show would be like, she would be upset.
She'd then go back to Rex or something.
Or fight.
Yeah.
Fight
or like
Amber.
Start causing shit at school or something.
But I mean, for her, Mark is a friend, a coworker.
Yeah.
And
I don't think she was going there for anything romantic. She was more going there to see her friend who she's like, you know this guy. You know that he's a douchebag. You've just told me that you think he's a douchebag as well. Yeah. Like, I kind of just want to sit and talk. And, I think she was probably thinking, maybe if we end up making out on the bed, then fine. But, like, she wasn't going there with that in mind, I don't think.
Right.
So she was like, oh, gutted. I've missed my chance there. But, hey, good for you, Mark. Well done.
Because you don't want Amber or Eve feeling like an asshole.
No, they're both good. They're both nice people. Yeah.
So
that Prison Break, we talked about it earlier on.
Yeah.
At the end of it, one of the Mauler twins completely sacrifices the other one.
Right.
He just like picks him up and he's like, well, if you have to ask, you're the one who's inferior, so I'm going to use you as a human shield, and then like charges at the turret, the laser turret.
Do we know for sure if he's
the original? We have no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we said it last time that I don't think either of them are the original.
Right.
I think the original is either somewhere far off or is long dead. And
I'm sure we'll get another one.
Of course we are.
By the next time we see him.
We're not just going to get one Mauler. That'd be weird.
But, okay, so I don't want to put you on the spot. I'm kind of, I feel like I read through Invincible once. Mm-hmm. I'm reading it through a second time.
Yep.
The characters.
I didn't finish it once, but I'm starting from the scratch, and I'm like issue 25 or something on my second read through.
Do you recognize any of the characters from the other holding cells?
I recognized Multipool.
Okay. All right. I forgot his name.
Yeah. I just remember his name because Duplicate and Multiple are great names for siblings. So yeah, I saw him. He was there, which is cool. I don't think we'll ever get, maybe down the line, but I don't think in the immediacy we're going to get a plot line with him. But it was a nice little nod for fans.
Right.
Like maybe we'll get a reference from Kate about her brother who's a criminal or something.
That would work.
Were some of the other characters people. I didn't recognize.
I didn't recognize them, and I felt weird. Like that's why I didn't want to put you on the spot because I wasn't. I'm trying to think because I remember like all the big ones, but there's so many characters in Invincible and the backgrounds and the foregrounds. There's like all kinds of storylines.
Well, I mean, like your Doc Seismic's in this. There's a. It's not really a villain of the week necessarily in the comics. But like people will come and go, and then they might pop back up, or they might never be seen again, sort of thing.
Right. Did we talk about some of the other like okay? I'm looking at the tryouts for the Guardians of the Globe.
Yeah.
There's a dude that looked like he was like a big buff guy with hairy arms. I have no idea.
The Robert Kirkman looking guy.
Yeah.
They tweeted about it. They put this guy up on their Twitter feed, on the official Invincible Twitter feed. I'm pretty sure that's meant to be Kirkman.
Okay.
Because Otley has done it a few times where he would draw people into the books from real life. Like I was reading an issue the other night and it was him. Like he drew himself in there. Like coming out of the high school, I think it was. So he definitely de-aged himself. But it was him. Like he's got a very distinct like goatee mustache, or he did at the time anyway.
Yeah.
The ball cap, and then there's a henchman of a villain that I didn't know at the time when I first read it, but I realized it now. Isotope Comics in San Francisco. It's quite a famous comic book shop, and the guy who owns and operates that shop got a very distinct look as well, like with a big, tall, sort of gelled up hairdo. And he is in Invincible as a character named Isotope. He's sort of the second in command for a major villain or semi-major villain.
Right.
So yeah, like Otley liked to draw people in, and I think the show is doing that. I think that was meant to be Kirkman.
Okay. All right.
But
did he have like kind of overalls, right? Like denim overalls.
Yeah, so wearing overalls and just had like really hairy arms.
I distinctly remember in the early days, like Kirkman at like a Tennessee home or something, wearing overalls in his house or something. I don't know. It might have been in the Invincipals photos in the back, but I remember him definitely wearing a similar outfit. So yeah, maybe it's Kirkman.
That makes sense.
I love that scene. That scene's so great.
It's great. We didn't see Bulletproof, or who we think is Bulletproof, with the yellow outfit.
Right.
He's at the tryouts in the comics and doesn't make the team at that point. But I didn't see him anyway. I didn't recognize him. But there are a few. Yeah.
Yeah.
There were a few other people who were around who sort of didn't make the cut, but we may see again.
Right.
We get the second or third reference now. I think it's the third reference. I think every episode has probably had one to it's Fight Force.
Right.
Like I don't think we saw them necessarily, but like they are the butt of everyone's joke. They're like, Fight Force are here. Like, why? Why do they even bother? Like,
I'd like to see a reveal of Fight Force.
Yeah, I would too. I'd like to see like them looking amazing, but actually being real shit.
Yeah, I don't know how I would handle that. Like, do I want them to just like, I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe they're good. Everyone's jealous. I don't know.
I just pictured them like Alpha Flight.
Puck, Sasquatch.
Yeah, exactly. Puck is exactly who I was thinking of.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, no. I was hoping, or I was expecting them to like at least name drop like Capes Inc. and stuff like that. Some of the other Kirkman created stuff, or like Tech Jacket, some of the other stuff, but nothing yet. Maybe he's trying to save that. Maybe he's trying to shop those off to other networks.
And of course, Wolfman.
Wolfman, we always want more Wolfman.
The Wolf Corps.
Wolfman's got to be doing his own thing for now, though. I think.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
It
was just a great episode. We got like a really good, solid amount of superhero stuff. We got a lot of the Mark relationship stuff, and like I don't think we went to high school, but we got like his best friend. We got the girls. Like we got some more play with like Debbie and Nolan and stuff like that. So
I feel like
had a bit of everything.
I feel like the pacing and the animation of this episode are the best yet. I think the Doc Seismic fight, the animation of the Doc Seismic fight was amazing. All the fighting between the superheroes at the Guardians tryouts, I thought were all really well done, and the flying looks amazing.
Yeah, it really does. So, and like Eve Eve having a distinct style other than Mark. Like Mark is definitely very comfortable with flying now. Like he's like quite side
like
on,
leaning on.
He's kind of casual with everything, whereas like Eve is still very much in flight mode. But I like the different styles. They're not just both flying through the air like Superman or something.
Right.
So if we're playing to our strengths, you're going to always bring up the animation, but I'm just going to bring up the music as well. We had a couple more tracks, like actual music songs.
Right.
Music songs. Musical tracks as opposed to just score this time. It was DJ Shadow and De La Soul had a song that was in this one, and Danger Mouse and Run the Jewels. Like, so they're leaning into sort of that sort of rap, but it's kind of an alternative style. Like, it's got a bit of a remix to it. It works so well. I love.
Sounds great.
Whenever the soundtrack kicked in, it was like, oh yeah, now we're into something cool. I think the DJ Shadow song with De La Soul was during the training montage, and then the Run the Jewels track was a little bit later on. That was
during the Mauler Twins?
I think that might have been the Mauler Twins escape, yeah.
All right. Cool. Good episode.
Cool.
I'm excited to see where it goes. We are now officially on the same page.
Kaiju fight as well, like, because Donald's there, and he's like, let's keep it. We might need it later or something. So
right, they're putting that on ice. It's still alive.
Yeah. Exactly. Never know when you're going to need a giant monster.
Yeah, it said it almost got Omni-Man. So, and that piece that was stuck to his back, and him flopping it on the counter.
Yeah, what do you reckon it tasted like?
I don't know.
Do you reckon it is going to be like calamari or?
I don't know. I don't eat seafood. I hate seafood.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. Probably I would say it would taste like squid, but it looked like a big tentacle with a butthole. And they just really made it look so off-putting. Speaking of language, we got some F-bombs in this one.
We did. This was definitely the most R-rated in terms of language.
Yeah.
I noticed it as well, like especially second time around. Like there was quite a few shits, and there was a few F-bombs dropped.
Mostly by Rex, and it didn't. You know what's funny? It didn't feel out of place.
No, it didn't at all, and that was the thing. Like, they're not. I don't think there is much cursing in the comics. Not that I can remember anyway. Like maybe when it's really needed.
Yeah.
But it's not like an R-rated comic in that way. It's just leans it into it other ways. Whereas with this, it's like they're not going heavy with it. They're not being. Right. It's not like being super crass. It's not like trying to be like South Park or something. But when it comes up naturally in conversation, or like Rex using like an F-bomb, like when he's just about to get hit by Monster Girl or something like that, it feels natural. It feels good.
They're not using it in conversations or dialogue. They're using it as reactions. So if Mark sees something crazy, he'll say shit. Or like when he ran into the Burger Mart sign in the first, he says, "Oh shit." It's all reactionary. And when Monster Girl's about to hit him, he says, "Fuck." It feels more natural than like one of my issues with like say Deadpool 2. I'm watching Deadpool 2 and I'm like, man, a lot of these swears seem so forced.
That's my problem with Deadpool in general as a character. Like so much of it feels forced, and it's like, okay, you're just doing this it feels cheap.
Yeah.
It's doing it for the cheap laugh. Whereas in this it just feels natural. It's like it's just like you and I having a conversation. Like you'd say, "Oh man, this fucking thing over here," like for emphasis, or like, shit, stub my toe. It's just normal conversation stuff.
So that's how it feels like, and I'm there for it. It makes the show feel more real.
Definitely.
Because if Monster Girl was about to punch me, I'd probably say the same thing.
Yeah.
So I like that it's not,
especially if I know that I've just been ripping the shit out of her beforehand.
Right. So it's I like it. It's not it doesn't feel forced. It feels natural, which lends itself to the show. I'm really, really getting into the show. I didn't notice any sort of. I wasn't picking it apart like I was the first 2 episodes. I'm kind of just sitting back and enjoying it. Didn't notice anything with like sound design that kind of stuck out or sounded weird.
No.
There was a fight with Black Samson and a female.
Oh, was it his training?
With with lightning bolts. And I noticed she had really cool sound effects going. So Doc Seismic had some cool sound effects stuff going on. So whoever is in charge of doing the sound design for the show is doing a really, really good job of coming up with unique sounds for the different.
They all
sort
do
of
have a unique sound. I think that's what it is. Yeah, it's cool. It works.
So, man, kudos all around.
I'm looking forward to Friday.
Pacing,
I can't wait for episode 4.
The pacing, the animation, like I said, all feels better.
Yeah.
And it's just going to keep on
they're
getting
in
better.
The groove now. Like, they don't need to establish as much about the world. Like, it's just a case of, here's the world, you know it now. And I think that's the good thing about doing 3 episodes at first, like, for people that don't know the comics.
Right.
Like, they're like, okay, cool, right, I'm in now. And now, week to week, for the rest of the story, as the plot plays out, we get to reveal more about this mystery and everything else around it.
I'm so glad I'm caught up with you.
Oh, yeah.
I've been behind this week. But that's kind of on purpose for me so that I can do the show and watch them fresh.
Just because of where my days off have fallen this week, I've had a chance to be able to watch every episode twice before we record.
Yeah. So Friday night I'm looking forward to, or tonight, I guess.
As you're listening to this, it will be tonight. I will have probably already watched it because I'll be having to watch it before I go to work. So, yeah.
Right.
Looking forward to it. And then we'll be back on Monday with another episode.
Yeah. Until then, go to Invincipod.com. That'll give you links to our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Like, that's the easiest way to get to our YouTube page. We need to get at least 100 of the listeners signed up to YouTube so that we can get youtube.com/Invincipod.
So even if you listen to it anywhere else generally, like, just do us a favor and just drop a subscribe over on YouTube as well. That'd be great.
And what I've been doing also with our YouTube page is anytime Prime Video or Prime Video UK or anybody puts out a video, I'm putting that on the page too. So if you're looking for more Invincible content, trailers, videos,
a good hub.
Yeah, it'll be a hub for all that stuff. There was a great they did a reaction video with some of the voice actors. And
some of the voice actors and some other people like Greg Miller, who's a big fan of the comics all the way through, and there's a few other like influencer type people online. Like they were all reacting to the end of episode 1, wasn't it?
Right. The Nolan versus the Guardians of the Globe scene.
Yeah.
So that video is great. I'm gonna keep on scouring YouTube and add more stuff to that. But so if you're listening elsewhere and don't feel like listening on YouTube, there's still gonna be stuff for you to check out over there. So be sure to subscribe. Yep. And we'll be able to grab that URL.
And give us ratings and reviews and all that stuff as well. Like that just helps people find the show.
Yeah. Comment, like, subscribe.
Yeah. Then send us messages as well. Like if you've got anything if your input for the show, like we'd love to hear what you think. So if you see something or like we've missed something from the books or you just want to mention something to us, like shout us out on any of the socials or anything like that. We read it all.
Right. And if you want, maybe send an email.
Yeah.
You up for email? So
there is an email address.
Invincipod@gmail.com.
Yep.
It's easy. We got it.
Yeah.
And
you know, if it's good and if it's something you want read on the air, we'll do it. I'm sure we will. We'd be happy to read that sort of stuff on there.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
Right. Well, until next week, I'm James.
I'm Ralph.
Keep watching the sky.
Bye.